Welcome, dear explorers, to a captivating series that will take you on a journey through the enigmatic pyramids on the eastern side of the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Today, we embark on an exploration, seeing through the eyes of those who first ventured into this ancient realm. As we kick off this series, we'll uncover the initial observations made by these intrepid explorers, providing a unique perspective on the mysteries surrounding the Eastern Pyramids. What caught their attention? And what clues did they discover at the outset of their expeditions? In the upcoming videos, we'll meticulously dive into each pyramid surrounding Khufu's monumental structure, starting with the Queen's Pyramids. Each video will focus on one pyramid at a time, unraveling the stories and secrets that have intrigued explorers for centuries. I invite you to join us on this archaeological voyage and become part of our community. Share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. Additionally, consider joining our channel membership to support and encourage us in bringing you more fascinating content in the future. Ready yourselves for an exploration like no other. Let's embark on this adventure together and unearth the mysteries of the pyramids on the eastern flank of Khufu's pyramid. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring that notification bell to stay updated. Now, let the exploration begin. Now, back in 1837, a daring explorer named Howard Vyse cracked open these pyramids, setting the stage for modern exploration. But hold on, these structures weren't exactly left untouched in the past, signs of ancient violators and even some sneaky burials. It's like they've been the hotspots for mystery seekers throughout history. Now, let's take a stroll to these less famous but equally fascinating structures. Picture this, the eastern side of Khufu's pyramid. It's not just sand and stones, it's a treasure trove of history waiting to be unearthed. So buckle up, pyramid enthusiasts. We're about to embark on a journey through time and history, exploring the minor pyramids of Giza like never before. Exploration. In 1837, Howard Vyse, our adventurous explorer, managed to crack open not only the three pyramids we discussed earlier but also a bunch of them hanging out on the south side of Menkauri's pyramid. Here's the catch, Vyse's findings were like a sneak peek, just scratching the surface. Detailed information? Well, that was on a bit of a delay and had to wait for the arrival of Flinders Petrie some 43 years later. But Vyse did manage to open two of them for us, the northern and middle ones by the Great Pyramid. So, kudos to him. George Reisner chipped in too, but like Vyse, the details were a bit scarce. It's like they left us hanging, craving more juicy details. The real heroes who brought us the in-depth scoop were Maragioglio and Rinaldi in the swinging 60s. They dived headfirst into the mysteries of these pyramids, unraveling secrets that had been hidden for centuries. The Queen's Pyramids. These three and the trio on the south side of Menkauri's pyramid. No one's really sure which queen called these pyramids tomb. There are signs outside, like Giza claiming to be the Pyramid of Queen Meritetus, but experts like Lehner and Zahi Hawass remind us, we're not entirely certain who these queens were. So, here we have a sign outside the entrance to Giza, assigning this pyramid to Queen Meritetus, and a similar sign by Giza designates that pyramid to Queen Hetep Heres, while Giza is often attributed to Queen Henutsen. But, we must always remember that the evidence supporting such attributions is fragile and scarce. Directing these pyramids to a specific queen may not be definitive. Hold on for a moment, these signs shed light on interesting matters. Giza tells us it's the Pyramid of Queen Meritetus, while Giza implies it's the Pyramid of Queen Hetep Heres. Beautiful, isn't it? But we must be cautious, there's still much uncertainty surrounding these labels. The evidence we rely on can be quite delicate, and we have no absolute assurance about the identity of these queens. With this captivating image captured by Peter de Manuelian back in 1982. From the towering Great Pyramid, we get a bird's-eye view of the trio of pyramids and a glimpse of the Eastern Cemetery. Now, let's unravel the mysteries. Take a closer look. The most weathered pyramid still standing is Giza. Notice the small boat pit on its south side, adding an intriguing element to its story. And right here, in the foreground, we have one of a pair of large boat pits flanking Khufu's pyramid temple. An impressive sight, don't you think? Now, let's talk about changes over time. See that modern road running along the side of the pyramids? Well, that's history. It was removed during an operation in 1991. And guess what? During this process, the hidden gem, Small Pyramid GID, was uncovered. Look closely, it's roughly located across the road by the red car. And not to miss the small boat pit nestled between GIB and GIC, although it's not visible in this image. It's these hidden details that make the exploration of Giza truly fascinating. Now, let's take a closer look at this schematic, revealing the layout surrounding the Queen's Pyramids. GIA and GIB share a similar size, while GIC is noticeably smaller. What about G7000X? It's a 27-meter deep shaft, discovered in February 1925, housing the funerary belongings of Hetep Heresai. However, the exquisite alabaster sarcophagus was disappointingly empty. South of G7000X, there's a shallow cut in the rock known as GIX. Reisner suggested it might be the abandoned cut of an unfinished pyramid. This notion was embraced by Lehner, who theorized that the initial Queen's Pyramid, GIX, was relocated to its current position, GIA, while the trial passages became an abandoned satellite pyramid. I plan to revisit these peculiar features in a separate guide, as I want to focus this one on the three minor pyramids. Still, I feel compelled to discuss the GIX cut and whether it truly belongs to an unfinished pyramid. While it's generally accepted as such, Peter Janosi doubts it marks the start of a pyramid passage. After scrutinizing the available data as a layman, I tend to agree with Janosi's skepticism. Let's delve into Reisner's findings, specifically focusing on his figure 18, which unveils the shallow cutting known as GIX. Reisner provides a detailed account, stating, "The sloping passage in the rock." Imagine this sloping passage in the rock, about 0.85 meters wide, extending for a length of 3.75 meters and reaching a depth of 0.54 meters. But what's truly fascinating is what Reisner reveals next. At the northern end of this sloping passage, an emplacement 6.35 meters wide had been prepared. What was its purpose? Well, it was meant for the sloping courses of masonry, designed to carry the sloping passage up and out to the projected face of the pyramid. Picture this. Plaster remnants in this emplacement tell a story. They indicate that two courses of stone had already been set in place, only to be later removed when the site was abandoned. The meticulous planning and subsequent abandonment of this site make it a puzzle worth exploring. It's like catching a glimpse of the pyramid's construction process frozen in time. What's even more intriguing is the careful craftsmanship and the decision to dismantle what had been started. Reisner's findings open a window into the challenges faced during pyramid construction. Now, let's dive into some intriguing aspects of this cutting. Firstly, it strikes me that this incision is nothing more than a superficial scratch on the surface, and yet, masonry was already being laid. Typically, one would expect a much deeper cut to secure any masonry elements. Interestingly, standard pyramid entrances are 2 cubits wide, approximately 1.05 meters, which is greater than the recorded 0.85 meters. Look at this. The cut seems rather superficial, almost like a quick job. One can imagine a skilled team of workers completing this in a day or two at most. Moreover, surface rock tends to be more friable, so a deeper cut would be anticipated to assess the rock's suitability before laying any masonry. In Lehner's reconstruction of GIX, this cutting serves as the junction where any descending passage cut in the rock would meet the superstructure passage. He envisions the pyramid to be of a similar size to GIA, with its north base positioned about 4 meters south of G7000X. Lehner emphasizes, as Reisner pointed out, the mouth of G7000X is cut into the original unworked rock surface. Beginning about 4 meters to the south of G7000X, the surface has again been worked. Here it has been regularized but not leveled, in shallow panel-like cuttings. What's fascinating here is Lehner's insight into the intricacies of the G7000X mouth and the worked surface south of it. The decision to regularize the surface without leveling it raises questions about the purpose and planning behind this particular area. Here we have a glimpse of image, courtesy of the Giza project at Harvard University. I've taken the liberty of pointing out the locations of G7000X and GIX. Unfortunately, the available information on this regularized cutting is quite sparse. We're left wondering about its full extent from east to west. Did it stretch beneath GIA and Mastaba G7110? Oddly, there's no mention of it in Reisner's report, his plan, or even in the excavation images. Now, let's ponder a fascinating question. Could this shallow cutting, as described by Lehner, have any connection to the proposed pyramid GIX? Positioned around 4 meters south of G7000X, it also marks the commencement of the street that leads between the Queen's Pyramids and the mastabas. Could this regularized cutting be linked to the overall street layout? Perhaps a wall was intended to secure the end of the street, featuring an entrance for priests to access the temples of the pyramids. Now, here's where it gets intriguing. How probable is it that this regularized cutting served as the initial step for a foundation trench for the proposed pyramid GIX? Considering the brief time it would take to create the cutting GIX, and if such a process was the norm for starting pyramid construction, an additional puzzle arises when we question why we don't see any foundation traces for Lehner's abandoned satellite pyramid, which should have incorporated Petrie's trail passages. Let's delve into this figure from Maragioglio and Rinaldi's TAV 9, revealing the extensive rock cutting for the trail passages. Clearly, this was no small feat and took more than just a day's work. However, what's puzzling is the absence of any visible preparatory work for a foundation trench around this site, which would typically highlight the casing limits if it was indeed intended as a pyramid. As we look at the illustration, the meticulous effort put into creating the construction in the rock is evident. The question that arises is, given the considerable time invested in this rock cutting, why don't we observe more preparatory work above ground? What catches the eye above ground is a shallow trench, approximately 7.35 meters long. This trench runs parallel to the trail passages and seems to align with the north-south axis of the Queen's Pyramids. It's intriguing. The absence of visible groundwork for a foundation trench raises questions about the intentions behind this construction. Was it initially planned as a pyramid, or does the trench serve a different purpose altogether? In this segment, inspired by Lehner's Figure 2, we'll explore how a reconstructed pyramid, like GIX, might have appeared. Now, let's take a closer look at Lehner's visual representation. It provides us with a rough idea of the potential appearance of the reconstructed pyramid GIX. Our journey takes us southward, offering a captivating view of the Giza Plateau. In the foreground, we can discern the stairway of G7000X, a monumental shaft that dominates the scene. However, take note that the packing of the shaft had yet to be completely removed at the time this image was captured. Now, when we look at the background, an intriguing feature comes into focus. There, we can clearly observe the cutting of GIX, a site that holds its own mysteries and secrets. Let's zoom in on G7000X, this awe-inspiring shaft that descends into the depths of history. Its stairway, a testament to ancient engineering, stands prominently, waiting to reveal more about the mysteries concealed beneath. It's important to note that, at the time of this image, the meticulous work of removing the packing from G7000X was still underway. Imagine the anticipation as each layer was unveiled, potentially exposing hidden chambers and artifacts. As we pan to the background, the cutting of GIX comes into view. This enigmatic feature has sparked debates among researchers, and its purpose continues to elude us. What secrets might lie within this rock cutting, and how does it connect to the broader landscape of the Giza Plateau? Our exploration takes us to a fascinating view looking south, where we encounter the intriguing features near GIX. To the right, we observe paving associated with the Pyramid Chapel on the east side of GIA, marked by its distinctive sloping foundation cut. Take a closer look at this northern sloping part of GIA. Maragioglio and Rinaldi report traces of mortar, suggesting that masonry had been placed there and later removed. They propose that the rock was likely prepared for laying the pyramid casing, with the first course inclined inwards. Now, the insertion of masonry at such an early phase raises questions. Was it customary to fit masonry at this stage? Or could there be an alternative explanation? Although Reisner suggests this cutting as the beginning of an abandoned pyramid, I propose another possibility. Could this cutting be more closely linked to the Pyramid Chapel? Unfortunately, the chapel has left us few traces, with only a leveled platform remaining. Maragioglio and Rinaldi mention depressions at the platform's limits, likely representing foundations for the chapel's side walls. These sloping foundations, often seen in Queen's Pyramids, tend to level off near the corners. Similar practices can be observed in larger structures, such as Abu Rawash. If this cutting is part of the temple, what function could it serve? One possibility is that the sloping cut was designed to support fine masonry, rising at a steeper angle than the temple walls. Consider the concept of a serdab, a chamber for housing statues connected to the temple. Could our cutting be intended for a similar purpose, holding a statue and explaining the early traces of fitted masonry? In essence, this might offer a more logical explanation for the cutting, suggesting that it was complete and unrelated to a pyramid. Thank you for joining us on this exciting journey around the mysteries of the Khufu Queen's Pyramid site. We hope you've enjoyed exploring and contemplating the puzzles surrounding these ancient structures. In the next episodes, we will delve deeper into the mysteries of the Queen's Pyramids, exploring each one individually in this video series. Stay tuned for more details about the stories these pyramids hold and what they might reveal about the fascinating era of the pharaohs. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be the first to get the latest content and updates. Feel free to share your thoughts and comments below. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode.